Bloomberg Audio Studios. Podcasts, radio, news.
Let's talk right now with Galaxy Digital. It's trading on the NASDAQ after a nearly after a long drawn-out process with the SEC that reportedly cost over $25 million. Joining us to discuss is Mike Novogratz, the founder and CEO. Mike, great to have you on the program. Really excited to talk about a lot of other happy things with you, but I want to start with this listing. Why was it so long, drawn-out, problematic, infuriating? What word would you use?
Listen, I would use the word un-American. The SEC under the Biden administration really just wasn't fair. And it's been a breath of fresh air with the new administration that their processes, they're looking at your business, they're doing what the SEC is supposed to do. And so we waited 1,307 days to go public. It kept us out of the deepest capital markets in the world. It put all the companies, not just ours, at a big disadvantage. But we're looking forward. We listed on Friday. It was a glorious day for, our Galaxy family. The NASDAQ does an amazing job of making you feel special. And we couldn't be happier to have finally cleared that hurdle.
Okay, so you cleared that hurdle, but as you said, it took a long time. So I'm curious as to how you feel your company has evolved since you first filed to list in the U.S.
Well, we're a very different company. Listen, sometimes scarcity makes you tough, and most of our growth was funded by trading profits and investing profits. And so it kept us very focused on not being wrong. What's changed? We're now really a holding company with two different divisions, right? We have a very large AI data center company. We've got a project in Helios called Helios down in West Texas that in the Panhandle that we think will be the largest data center in America by 2030. We already have 800 megawatts of power, and we're in the queue for more. We've got a great partnership with CoreWeave. I watch CoreWeave stock seems to go up every single day, and so we cheer for them because they're our tenant. We have contracts signed with them on the first 600 megawatts of our power to deliver a little bit less than that to them. And so that's a big business. And so we have that business, and then we have our traditional crypto business. And the crypto business really was built to be a bridge between institutions and the crypto community. And to be fair, I was really early, right? This idea that the herd was coming was my tag phrase. They just didn't come, but they're here now. With this new administration, the regulatory clarity that we're starting to get from SEC, CFTC, FDIC, getting the right people in those seats who are pro-crypto. We just got stablecoin legislation on Monday. And so there's only one more hurdle for Congress, which is going to be called a market structure bill. But after that, it's up to the crypto industry to build something that America wants.
I do want to point out CoreWeave is up another 10% today, and the stock has more than doubled. Tripled basically since the IPO. So yes, very successful tenant, a great one to sign up for that data center. In terms of Galaxy, you did have a decline in revenue in the first quarter, and a lot of people will find that puzzling since the price of Bitcoin was up so much, right? It rallied up through and over $100,000. Are you going to see a bounce back in revenue now that this legislation has passed?
Well, listen, so if you look at Bitcoin from start to finish in the first quarter, it was actually down a little bit, and Ethereum and the other coins were down a lot, right? Ethereum was down over 40%. And so we still have a big balance sheet, right? We have roughly $1 billion of crypto assets and another $400 million of venture private equity crypto assets. And so we have a lot of beta to the overall market. And so traditionally our earnings have been very correlated with price. We are changing that quickly as our businesses become more stable, right? When we started, we made most of our money by being long at the right time and short at the right time. Now we've got a staking business, a lot of recurring revenue businesses that we're building, as well as this data center. The data center won't really be cash flow positive for another year, and then it becomes literally a cash machine. And so we hope the volatility of our earnings goes down when these other businesses come online.
So, Mike, the crypto industry is definitely having a moment right now. There's a listing of your company, Galaxy Digital, Coinbase joining the S&P 500. You also have the debut of eToro, and of course, the price of Bitcoin itself on an upswing today, hitting a record $108,000. Do you think the news around the crypto ecosystem is helping to drive the price of Bitcoin? What's wagging the dog here?
I think, listen, it started with Larry Fink when he got orange pilled, and the largest asset manager in the world said this is a real asset, in at least Bitcoin, that everyone should be part of. And lots of other companies, Invesco with us, followed suit, right? And so that was kind of round one of institutions coming in. But really it was the change of the shift of approach from the Gary Gensler SEC to this Trump administration, which has just embraced our industry. And that freed up the animal spirits, both here and abroad, right? I've had conversations with heads of large sovereign wealth funds that said, if America's buying Bitcoin, we're buying Bitcoin. And so you're seeing, like, the snowball is rolling downhill. The one thing that could have held it back some, at least the Bitcoin price, would have been if, Scott Bessent and his team and Congress could have really knocked that deficit from 7% of GDP down towards 3%, which was his plan. Right now, it looks like it's going from 7 to 8. And, I like Scott Bessent a lot. I think he's as competent and capable as anybody. We're in a really hard position as a country. And when you have this kind of debt, you're seeing it with long ends of interest. Yield curves are selling off everywhere. The dollar's under pressure. And that all is very good for Bitcoin and crypto assets as well.
Yeah, it was pretty shocking to look at weakness in the dollar and other haven assets. And for a long time, Bitcoin was kind of bucking the trend and going the other way, almost as if it was taking on a reserve currency status. I know that would be a fantasy for a lot of Bitcoiners for sure. I want to ask you about tokenization, though, Mike. You at Galaxy have tokenized a number of really cool things. I think I read you tokenized a Stradivarius violin. And you mentioned the new SEC. You want to tokenize your shares, or you're in talks with them to do that. How are those talks progressing, and when do you think that's going to be possible?
Listen, the SEC is really open-minded to people coming down with ideas. And so I think you're going to see tokenized equities, at least experiments with them in the next 1 to 2 months. I'm just throwing out a range. I don't know for certain, but it's going to happen. And tokenization itself, I keep saying this is going to go real slow and then all of a sudden real fast. And I think, quite frankly, it might end up driving a lot of crypto adoption. People will be more comfortable owning Apple stock in a tokenized form, maybe, than owning a crypto. But once you start learning to go from an account to a wallet, the big migration in the next 5 years are going to be from accounts to wallets, right? This stablecoin bill is going to allow lots of new issuers of stablecoins, and all of a sudden, people are going to, in this device here, going to have their money market fund, and maybe some of their stock, and maybe some of their Bitcoin in a self-custodied wallet, as opposed to having to call their bank or their brokerage.
But you know what's cool? Mike, I've spent some time on our ETF program last year. Scarlet now co-anchors that. She kicked me off the set. And for a long time, we talked about the ETF of crypto assets. Will crypto now replace, will tokenization replace ETFs? I mean, is Eric Balchunas going to cover tokens instead of ETFs?
You will have a tokenized show in a few years. I don't think you'll replace. Listen, the U.S. capital markets are gigantic, but crypto is going to take a piece of it, and and tokenization is going to grow much faster than people think. One of the advantages of having a tokenized stock is much broader distribution. I can envision a day where the young kid in Tanzania who's got a $2.37 savings has put it into a tiny piece of Apple stock, right? Like the democratization of being able to participate in markets is going to go limit up, because almost everyone on the planet has one of these. and it's going to be very easy to get, digital wallets.
Got it. Mike, really appreciate your joining us today. A pleasure speaking with you. Mike Novogratz of Galaxy Digital, and who knows, maybe we'll launch a Tokenization IQ or Token IQ show sometime soon.
I'll come back for that.
All right, there you go.